Jim Rohn once said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. In my life, the team member that became the most important is a woman named Patty Aubery. I hired her as my first secretary, and now she's the president of my company. She's really good at keeping relationships going with people. I'm kind of buried in my research and wanting to learn the next thing that I can teach, writing my books and so forth. So you want to find someone that complements your talents and compensates for your weaknesses.
It just became a great relationship and a great partnership. And over time, we started with self-esteem seminars, we started teaching teachers, and then Chicken Soup happened. I met Jack in September of 1989, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was 24 years old, and I started looking through the paper, and I saw this job, and it said, secretary wanted $25,000 a year. Call me whatever you want for $25,000 a year in 1989. That's not a bad job for someone that's 24 out of school. It didn't say what it was for or anything like that. And I drove down to Pacific Palisades, and I went into this townhouse for this interview with this guy and his wife. And they talked to me about their business and how they were doing self-esteem work. And I didn't understand any of it really. And, we met. I was 24. He was 49. If you asked me if I was going to be working with him when I was 51 and he was 72, I would look at you like you had 3 heads. But it was sort of a match made in heaven. I was really more of a business side, and he really was so driven by making a difference that it was a great team. And for me, it was the first time that someone trusted me enough to let me just be my crazy self. We could do the quote first. I was thinking of an affirmation.
Jack and Patty are such a team, and Patty is it's like one of her foundations she stands on, and that she's always been. She is a super loyal friend and partner, and she's got his back. She holds it. She's next to him. She's out in front of him. She works really, really hard to support him and make sure that his mission gets out to as many people as it can, because she really sees that his work makes a difference.
What Jack doesn't hear, Patty hears. What Jack forgets to say, Patty will say. There's this wonderful synergy and an amazing level of respect.
So I get this job with Jack. The same place I had the interview, which was this townhouse in the Palisades, is the place of work. So the kitchen at the time was sort of Jack's office. My desk was 2 filing cabinets on an old door.
And there was the copy machine and the books, and on the wall, all of the whiteboard and all of the pin-up notes. And she said, this is really going to be something someday if we can just sell enough books.
So I get there, and he says, all right, well, I'm leaving. I'm going on the road, and here's all your stuff. And he just sort of walked out and didn't say, here's your job description. Here's what I need you to do. I called it the chicken coop. I mean, it was like, I felt like I was chief chicken in this crazy coop. It was completely weird. And it was like losing a sense of yourself, because you became this big thing, and then suddenly it wasn't you anymore, and you really had to wonder, is there more to me? And someone said to me very early on in this business, what do you think will happen if Chicken Soup does well? And I was so young. I said, I don't know. I think it'll be really great. But I asked them back, what do you think will happen? And this very wise woman said to me, I think success and money just makes you more of who you really are.
There was a period, I think, of serious grieving that wasn't fully acknowledged. It's like the Jack Canfield ship that Patty was on, that the people, it was sort of floating. It got a little still. And I do think there was a depression. I don't think Jack was in a direction then. And really, had he not had Patty, I don't think he would have written the success principles. He wouldn't have gotten that done.
Well, one of the principles of success that I teach is you got to let go of the good to embrace the great. And so what happens, one of the greatest obstacles to success is success. Meaning you got something working, but to get to the next level, you have to let go of this. And it's hard to let go of something that's producing a lot of money, a lot of fame and fortune, a lot of celebrity status, a lot of speaking requests. I mean, everything was working in terms of the outer world looking at it. But I woke up one morning and it just wasn't doing it for me anymore. It's like you give me a story about a one-legged man climbing Mount Everest, which should be really inspiring, and I go, oh, not another story about a one-legged man climbing Mount Everest. When's this going to stop?
And we sat down together and talked about, it was sort of time to take everything we had used to build this billion-dollar brand and share it with the world.
And it took about a year to find the new thing, the success principles. Patty Aubery said, you need to write a book about success, the success principles. And at first I didn't think I knew enough. I didn't know if I was going to do it or not. What do I have to say? Is it really that meaningful? It's all been said before. You know, all the doubts and considerations that come up. But she prevailed, and I wrote it. It took about 18 months to write it. It was my whole, everything I'd learned in life about my success and everyone else's.
We joke around here that it's the big white book. It's sort of the Bible of success. It really is the fundamental principles that if you follow them, they work.
Jack's book truly transformed my life after a nearly fatal car accident. It was the first book I read while I was relearning to read.
The greatest impact that Jack did to my life is from being a battered wife and how I took 100% responsibility of my life. And that's the very first principle in the book. And I've learned from that being a battered wife, it's not a hindrance to my success.